Hi everybody, my name is Joe. I'm a doctoral student studying clinical psychology, and this is Psych Made Simple. Now today we're going to start a new series called Psych Biographies. I decided to start with Carl Rogers. Now he's a very well-known clinical psychologist. He was a professor at multiple different very prestigious universities. He served as the APA, or American Psychological Association president for a while, and in 1951 he published a very well-known book called Client-Centered Therapy, and this is where he gave out his kind of humanist or client-centered therapy perspective on basically, his idea of the best way to do therapy with clients. And his theory was in response to Freud. So as we'll go over his theory on the next slide, but the humanist or client-centered therapy model is very focused on just emphasizing the ways in which the client themselves has a lot of power and has a lot of things going for them, and helps them kind of just activate that and tap into that. Whereas, at least in the perspective of Rogers, Freud kind of over-pathologized things and thought that everything that people did was some kind of neurotic tendency based on, the Oedipus complex or different Freud theories that you may have heard of. So now just jumping over to the humanistic principles, the main three things that are kind of the main ideas of the humanist theory are empathy, unconditional positive regard, and congruence. I'll go through each of those, but basically the goal of each of these is to help facilitate self-actualization. That's a term also used by Maslow, of course, but they facilitate self-actualization, which can also be considered just like growth or maximization of someone's talents. And empathy is, understanding and appreciating the client's thoughts and feelings. This idea of unconditional positive regard, in some way that just kind of resembles love, right? And it's just viewing someone positively no matter what they do. And it is, according to Rogers, is very important to overcome conditions of worth, because as we develop and grow, even with really good parents, a lot of times there's just this tendency to develop these ideas of like, okay, I need to do X, Y, or Z in order to be worthy. I need to go graduate high school, graduate college, I need to get a good job or whatever, and then I'm a worthy person. And it's somewhat similar to Freud's idea of the superego, if you're familiar with that, of like those kind of social constructs that kind of guide what we do in a way. Rogers kind of emphasizes the ways in which those become like conditions that, decide whether we're a worthy or good person or not. But as a therapist, Rogers, thinks that it's a good idea to have that unconditional positive regard to help people break down those conditions of worth and feel like they are a good, worthy of love person, regardless of what they've done, regardless of who they are. Lastly, congruence, which is basically just this idea of having like an authentic and real relationship between the therapist and the client. Not to say that means, you become best friends outside of the therapy room or whatever it may be, but just the idea that like as the therapist, you are very genuinely yourself in the therapy session, not like putting on some front or facade, or also not just completely like minimizing any aspect of yourself and just fully like reflecting what the client says without any input of your own. Like there needs to be that relationship between you and the client that they feel and really is genuinely real and authentic, and that can help, create growth in the client ultimately. And he has a really strong legacy reflecting the fact that in two different polls in the 80s and 2000s, probably if he did another one, he would be up there too. He was voted as the most influential therapist in history by like a poll of therapists. And his humanist principles, I would say, serve as a very solid foundation for therapy. So if you follow these as a therapist, that can create a really good environment for the client, receiving therapy to grow and to see themselves as worthy and positive, and kind of to ultimately, lead to self-actualization and maximize their talents. And I would say that other strategies may like build upon and add stuff to this, but it's very rare that a theory would ever or another, school of therapy would ever conflict with these humanistic principles. So that's why I say it's like a very good, if you go to a therapist practicing cognitive behavioral therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, they'll use these humanist principles still. So it created this very strong, solid foundation and a baseline for like how a therapist should act and what kind of relationship they should have with their clients. So that's the legacy of Carl Rogers. Just getting another look at him and his biography. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. I can do some more biographies of different psychologists that were influential. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel and consider sharing it with a friend who might like it too. So thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.